and welcome back to our news bulletin, coming to you live from Warsaw. I'm Salia Strzemska. And we start with breaking news from Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has just announced a new prisoner exchange with Russia. Soldiers from the Armed Forces, National Guard and Border Service are coming back. We're doing everything to bring all our people home, Zelenskyy wrote on Telegram. Some of the soldiers have been held in captivity since the start of the conflict in 2022. And we continue on the topic of Ukraine. At least one person was killed and another wounded in today's Russian strike on the frontline southern city of Kherson. The strike targeted only residential areas, causing heavy damage to homes, vehicles and farms. Several fires broke out across the area, but according to the local emergency services, all of them have now been extinguished. The crew of the Axiom-4 mission successfully boarded the International Space Station. One of the lucky four is Uznański-Wiśniewski, who represents both Poland and the European Space Agency. The four-member crew entered the ISS nearly 2 hours after the Dragon Grace capsule docked with the station. Their arrival brings the total number of occupants aboard the ISS to 11. Before boarding, the capsule was connected to the ISS via power and communication cables, and pressure between the two spacecraft was equalized. The astronauts also conducted a thorough check of the vestibule connecting Dragon to the station to ensure a secure seal. Veteran astronaut Peggy Whitson, who has now spent a remarkable 676 days in space, presented symbolic gold pins to the 3 first-time astronauts. Each pin bears a number representing their unique place in the history of human spaceflight: 634, 635 and 636. And here's what Poland's Uznański-Wiśniewski had to say once the Axiom crew was aboard the ISS.
Thank you all for such a warm welcome to the International Space Station. Expedition 73, 11 people. I remember this moment from our training that we met already once before, all of us, in Houston, and now we are meeting up here on the International Space Station. So this is such a tremendous place. For me as an engineer and a scientist, this is an ultimate scientific laboratory where we come to do science, to test our technologies of our countries, to do technology demonstrators and science outreach that I can't wait to do for the next 2 weeks. And we will all try to do the best representing our countries. I represent Poland for the first time on the International Space Station, as well as ESA, not for the first time. So ESA had, as an international partner, had a lot of missions to the ISS, but Poland, this is for the first time. So thank you.
Following yesterday's NATO summit in The Hague, European leaders made the journey south to Brussels for today's European Council meeting of the EU. Ukraine's membership, defense spending and avoiding a trade war with the United States are all on the agenda. Let's go live to Alex Cadier, who is on the ground in Brussels. Good afternoon, Alex. Good to see you. So can you give us an update as to what has unfolded thus far? Viktor Orban has yet again placed himself in opposition to the rest of the bloc, right?
Yeah, good afternoon. That's absolutely right. It's a familiar scene. Viktor Orban opposing the 26 other member states on issues relating to Ukraine. This is relating to Ukraine's accession and membership of the European Union, something that experts tell me is about 10 years away at the fastest. So effectively, this is seen by many of EU officials behind the scenes as posturing by the Hungarian leader and not something to be taken particularly seriously. He said that he does not want a country at war in the European Union and therefore does not want Ukraine in the European Union, saying that it poses a direct threat to Hungary. No mention in his statement of the threat posed to the European Union by Russia. But nevertheless, that will be a side topic, it has to be said, for today. The big focus in the last few hours has been security and defense spending. Those conclusions adopted by the leaders, recognizing the efforts made by the European Union, recognizing the commitment to hit 5% of GDP on defense spending until by 2035, I should say. And clearly, this meeting is about continuing, moving forward, building up production, ramping up Europe's defense slowly but surely, and coordinating between the member states on joint procurement, on more spending. They will also be discussing later in the day the potential trade conflict with the United States, trying to decide if the EU should take the UK approach, make a very sharp, short, quick deal with the US so that Donald Trump can call it a win, or go back to the negotiating table and try to get something more comprehensive with the US. All of that being discussed. Defense and security has been signed off by all 27 member states. They've now moved on, I understand, talking about the Middle East. They'll move on to trade and Ukraine later in the day. A very packed agenda ahead, still here in Brussels.
Alex Kadir reporting from Brussels. Thank you, and of course we'll keep checking in with Alex throughout the afternoon. The European Commission will set up a pact for the EU's eastern border regions. It will be chiefly aimed at economic development and defense of the eastern flank of the bloc.
The initiative was announced by Rafael Fico, the Commissioner for Cohesion and Reforms, during a visit to Białowieża near the Polish-Belarusian border. The talks are attended by representatives of countries bordering Russia, Belarus and Ukraine. Regional authorities have called for special provisions in the EU budget that take into account their problems and challenges. These include the building of border fortifications needed to counteract weaponized illegal migration. The details of the pact are not yet known.
The Kremlin has confirmed that Russian President Vladimir Putin will not attend the upcoming BRICS summit in Brazil this July. The decision follows the arrest warrant issued for him by the International Criminal Court.
Putin's foreign policy advisor stated that the Brazilian government was unable to take a clear position that would allow the Russian president to attend the summit. Moscow will instead send the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov to Brazil. The International Criminal Court deems Putin a war criminal, as he stands accused of deporting hundreds of children from Ukraine. The warrant for his arrest was issued in 2023. Russia denies allegations of war crimes, and the Kremlin has dismissed the warrant as null and void. This is not the first time Putin will miss a BRICS summit due to the ICC warrant. In 2023, he did not attend the meeting held in South Africa, as the host country is a signatory of the Rome Statute. However, in 2024, the summit was held in Mongolia, also an ICC member state, where a red carpet was rolled out to greet the Russian president. The BRICS group serves as a political and diplomatic coordination forum for countries from the Global South and Russia.
Bulgaria's opposition leader Kirill Petkov has stepped down from both his party and parliament amid a growing corruption scandal. Party members in Sofia are accused of arranging public contracts for selected individuals. That same day, Sofia Mayor Nikolai Berbatov also resigned.
I am taking political responsibility for the failure in the selection of personnel in Sofia. I am resigning as co-chairman and a member of parliament from We Continue the Change because I want to say that the cause of We Continue the Change is bigger than any one of us. I want to apologize to our voters that I allowed this personal mistake. I want to say that in these 4 years I have never betrayed them, I have never acted out of self-interest or fear. I have always worked with their best interest in mind and in what I believed was for their well-being.
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that U.S. strikes in Iran were, quote, highly successful while speaking at a press briefing on Thursday. Hegseth also dismissed the notion that enriched uranium might have been moved for cover prior to the strikes.
There's nothing that I've seen that suggests that we didn't hit exactly what we wanted to hit in those locations. I would say Iran's going to have to say a lot of things right now in order to bolster their image, especially internally. You know, in the media, there's a lot of things they'll say for domestic consumption. But we're watching very closely what they do.
Meanwhile, the Rome State Opera is transforming the streets of the Eternal City into open-air stages, offering performances for suburban communities. It is a part of an effort to make culture accessible to all.
Let's say it was a gathering of people without social media, without any technology, with live music conducted by a real conductor, with singers singing live. There are thousands of people coming, with their chairs already arriving, I can see around us. And it's incredible how much attention people have given to this experience. It is really beautiful.
It's nice to feel lulled by a happy audience, an audience that wants to be here, who may bring a slice of pizza or a beer, children who maybe chat among themselves, but in reality, in the end, they are attentive and well-behaved. I have to say this, and this is the biggest surprise.
It's very nice, especially for people who can't go to the theatre, and this is for the suburbs of Rome. So let's say it's a nice initiative. If only they had done this 20 years ago, I wouldn't have reached the age of 85 without seeing my first opera, without going to the opera in Rome.
And that's a wrap for our news bulletin. Thank you for watching. The bottom line coming up next.